Wow, this is still spooling. Hi. All right. So I'm out of the cave. Oh my God, that was so fucking hard. Okay, I'm good now. Like, fuck. I fucking hate caves. I hate them. That was the hardest cave I've ever been in all my life. And I felt it this morning. It was like literally, good God, I started on Sunday. I don't know what day it is. Friday. Okay, so I had 5 days where I was just like going through a logical code with my partner. Like we're sitting here and we're just unraveling and unraveling. And it's like really fucking deep, deep logical code. And I'm like, I have no idea where the fuck this is going. But I just had to follow the code. So I got like, oh my God, it was deep. And we're like just raveling. And I finally got down to this one point, and it was this morning where I'm like, this is going somewhere, but I got to follow it. And I got to the end of it and I went, aha! It was a great aha moment. And I was able to just, there it is on the table. Finally, I unraveled all of it, and it was just a massive, there it is. There it is. There it is. Drop game. Like, I'm done. And it was, oh my fucking God, it was easily the most complex logical code I have ever worked out in my fucking life. So he's the only person in the world who's so far been able to best me in logic. But he weaves logical code that's like, so I'm sitting here analyzing all these subconscious minds, except his was an anomaly. I'm sitting here going through people like, okay, yeah. And everyone's got the same fucking code. All of you, every fucking one of you is the same. Every fucking subconscious mind is the same. And I know because my mind is also like the same thing. And I'm like, yeah, I'm all right, I got that all figured out. So I was able to riddle mine out, and then I was able to riddle everybody else's out, and they all matched. And I'm like, all right. So now when I sit down to talk to somebody, it's the same fucking algorithm. It's the same fucking algorithm. It's the same fucking algorithm. And the question is, where does your subconscious mind end? Are you leaving your algorithm off at 1? Are you going as far as 12? Where's your algorithm? And where your algorithm ends is going to tell me how complex your mind is. More specifically, how fucking smart you are. And the smarter you are, the more complex the logical code, which is why you're all the fucking same, is because you all came from the same educational system. That's why. It's because an educational system is literally what composes your subconscious mind. So because I came from the ancient Greek educational system, my logical code is different. But so was his, only he didn't come from the ancient Greek educational system. So I'm going, an anomaly. And I couldn't figure out why. Well, now I figured out why. It's because he's smarter than me. And I'm going, well, the bottom line, that's it, is he smarter than me? So I'm like, holy fucking shit. Like, holy shit. I had to get like to the 44th perspective level in order to even understand him. And then I was able to finally find the logic of his logical code and break it down. And everybody else is like here or here or here. And I'm going, okay, all right, I got that logical code. Yeah, done. Like, that's easy peasy. So the smarter you are, the more complex the code is. And I can literally measure how smart a person is based off of their logical code, in addition to how fucked up they are. So I got all of this set and done. And it was literally like playing chess for 5 days. That's where I've been. I've been literally playing chess between him, myself, and the universe. And we're just going through this massively complex logical chess game. Intense. And I finally got him into a checkmate. And I'm like, all right, there's my fucking checkmate. Now he's either going to come back with logic and throw me on my ass, which he's done twice now, or actually win the game. So that's where we're at. God, that is so fucking complex. So after that, I felt this massive just relief. My daughter is playing with her cat. Is it Fuzz? It's a wing. My daughter has a severe fear of bugs. So for her, this is a big deal. Good job. You good? You're all right. You're all right. You are in control. You are in control. You have all the control. So So that's it right there. That is it right there. And boy, I felt a whole lot of logic on that one. Like click through and use that as your mantra. I am in control. You are in control. So I'm like processing all of this, and it's a lot of fucking shit. And I'm like, oh my god, my brain. So it's all right. It's all right. Yeah. Have you reached your? Do you need to do self-care? All right, go do self-care. Yeah, I will take care of the leg. The cat found a bug earlier today, a dead one, and it was like, oh my god, it was like a kid in the candy shop. So the cat's like, so the cat was throwing it all over the place. And my daughter, by the way, this is her cat, has a severe phobia of bugs. And so she's like, ah, and the cat's like, la, 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 and it's tripsing through the tulips with its bug. So it's happy. But now we're finding pieces of the bug all over the place, and she's tweaking. Go take care of yourself. Like, seriously, I know. And when I'm done here, I will take care of it. It's not going to go anywhere. You are in control. It's not going to go anywhere. It's dead. It's in pieces. So God, I fucking hate caves. Really fucking hate caves. So I got out of that one, and I'm like, yes, I'm free. Woo! God, that feels so good. That was the hardest fucking cave. You know what caves are? It's delusion. It's when you figure out there's a delusion here. What's the delusion? And it's literally just logical code unraveling it to figure out where the delusion is and where the truth is. And once you get to the side of truth, you're like, aha, I got the truth. Aha, aha. So I did all of that, like, ha. And then I was just like, all right, I need to, like, there it is. So I stepped back and I'm like, all right. So now I'm looking at where I left everything prior to my going into the cave. I was working out my marketing, which was part of the cave. And I wrote up on my newsletter I wrote a book and I published the chapters out via my newsletter. I love that. I'm like, oh my God, I love that. I got to sneeze here. So just give me a minute. Thank you. Excuse me. So I was starting to break down my marketing, and I'm like, my marketing is starting to really come together. And so here's the marketing plan. And this is where we talk about when you start a business, you have your product, and then we jump right over to, okay, how are you going to market it? And they start talking about the marketing, which is out of order. And in addition to that, you also skip this massive, like, well, what about the storefront? What about the store? What about the aura? What about, like, there's a whole lot of yummy juice here. And everyone just doesn't stop and look at this. And I'm thinking about things like the Weasley's Joke Shop. I'm thinking about Mr. Something Something's Wonder Emporium. I don't remember his name. And I'm going, wait a minute. And I'm starting to, it's like starting to, like, form into my mind. And the more it's forming into my mind, the more I'm going, well, I got my product and I have my marketing, but what's the fucking storefront gonna? Because the marketing has to match, not your product. What do you think the marketing matches? And people never think about this. And here's the thing. What I'm really selling is the abstract. That's really what I'm selling. I am all about the abstract. But people have no idea what the abstract is. You have no fucking clue what the abstract is. So I'm going to tell you what the abstract is. The abstract is literally the other world. It's part 2. It's actually part 1, but everyone's living in part 2. So the abstract is where conceptualization takes place. It's where idea is born. It's where processing occurs. It's a location. Do you hear what I'm saying? It's a location. That's why I'm using the word where. So you either are in the abstract or the material plane. Now, here's the problem. 100% of everything in the material plane does not exist or can be comprehended until you have processed it in the abstract. If you have not put it through the abstract, you are not going to understand it at all in the material plane. Here's the problem. The last time anyone dealt with this or actually did this was the 16th century. The 16th century. That's why the majority of our words come from the 16th century or stopped evolving in the 16th century, is because there was a certain point where the abstract just people stopped using it. And that's why our mindset is still on the patriarchy, which is a 16th century concept, because we haven't grown since the 16th century. You are stunted. Your educational system did that to you. So most people don't even have a fucking clue what the abstract even is or how to get into it. And they're scared shitless of it. So now you've got a part of your brain that you're actually scared of. And people are so terrified of going near it because of the word insanity that they will just shut it down. And they keep shutting it down. And they keep shutting it down. So now you're all holed away in the material plane, and you guys aren't at all coming over to the abstract. Now, I live here. I was born here. I have dissected the fuck out of this place. So I get it. I'm fine. I had nothing to lose when I decided to go venture deep into the abstract to figure out what this place was. And then I made it my home because it's where I belong. So I'm sitting here, and this is interesting. I'm sitting here in the cave with my partner, and we're in the material plane, and X is taking place. But my brain is doing something entirely different. And I'm going, fascinating. So in order to process and figure out what X is, X equals the material plane, I had to first have conversations with the universe in the far future. I mean the last future, not just the far future. I mean the last future. It's a place here in the abstract, the last future. The last future is also the very first beginning. So I had to do that. I had to have conversations of the next future. That's also a thing here, is the next future. And then I had to have conversations with myself on the recent past and also the current present. Current present, because there's also the future present and the past present. That's something else here in the abstract. So I'm sitting here breaking all this down, and I'm visiting all these different points of view so I can analyze and understand precisely what it is going on. So I can look at this multifaceted point of view and go, oh, I see, I understand what's going on. And then I'm translating all of that into, oh, I now can define X. So you don't understand what's going on in your life unless and until you can break it down in the abstract. But if you don't know the abstract, how are you going to do that? So here I am going, all right, so what I'm really selling is the abstract. I'm selling everything you need in the abstract over here. Everything you could possibly want in the abstract. That is what I'm selling. And I have this, and I'm sitting here going, okay, what is the best storefront for the abstract? Well, this is going to be fucking easy. It's going to be like storybooks, because that's what we are. We're storybooks. We are logical story. We are logical story. That is what we are first and foremost, is storybooks. Yeah, because if you're coming in here and you don't have the imagination, what the fuck are you doing here? Like, people without imagination are going to come in here and be like, huh? Yeah, exactly. So the best way to market this, the best way to build the whole store is literally on storybook, make believe, and fiction. Yeah, as a fiction doesn't exist. You'll learn that when you get in here. So I'm sitting here going, all right, so here's the best part about all of this. Is if you are not humbled enough to enter a store like that, oh, you're not going to be able to do anything over here. You got to be humble. The arrogant cannot come here. It's great. So I'm like, all right, this is how it's done. This is how it's done. So I've got this awesome location now. I've got this amazing place. I have my emporium. Well, it's not an emporium. It's a forum and market. It's my make-believe imagination forum and market. And I realized that, and here's the thing, is it does all come down to the books. It really does. It comes down to the writing. So I'm now looking at this gorgeous, like, okay, so I have my storefront. And the storefront is definitely like forum and market. It's like imagination. Well, and I call it the world of imagination. I've done that already. The world of imagination. I've already done that. And I think this was just me needing to refine the last bit of this to break it all down. So, and what I loved is when I sent off so I have my chapter stories that go out, and then I have my little, okay, I'm going to reflect on this. And so it's my journal, and it's also my actual stories, my chapters. Yep, that's it. That was it exactly. And then from there, I was able to come to the podcast and assume character. Well, there is no really assuming character because I'm always in a state of being in character because this is who I truly am. And this is easily the most beautiful thing about theater and stage is when you get into theater and stage, and you start to realize, see, this is how it works in the abstract, is theater and stage is when you go, oh, the whole world is a stage. Every one of us is playing a part. And either you're real about what you're playing or you're fake about what you're playing. But at the end of the day, you're still playing. The question is, who are you playing? That's why we're called players. So that's really the question, is what character are you putting on and playing? Are you wearing a mask? Are you bullshitting yourself? Are you real with yourself? Now, once you get real with yourself, the mask comes off and you continue to play. And that's when you're suddenly going, wow, look at that. I'm breaking the fourth wall. I'm a fictional character, except fiction doesn't exist because technically speaking, it's all metaphorical, which is just another version of reality. But that's what they don't want to tell you about. So I'm sitting here going, all right, I can definitely pull this off. I can definitely do this. I feel like I'm finally where I need to be. I am changed. I feel very different. And I'm trying to adapt and normalize to my difference. And it feels different. And it feels weird. Yes, yes, it does. I have been living in a delusion since 2021. And I finally got out of it. And I'm like, oh, all right. So that's the reality. That's the reality that I wasn't supposed to see that I finally saw. And I went, all right, now that we understand what we're actually dealing with, can we please deal with it? And that's what it all came down to. And if you're not going to deal with it, then I need to leave. I feel better. All right. I feel better. I am not, it's been 15 minutes. I'm not walking my ass over there to take care of, there's two legs. Is it dead? Is it dead? Okay, I'll take care of it. Here, I'll take care of it. You go away. You go away from it. Walk away. Go self-care yourself. Seriously, walk away, Liz. Walk away. She instead stands there being triggered at the point of triggering. And I'm like, what are you doing? Go away. Remove yourself. Fourth ethic. Boundary. There you go. She moved. All right. All right. We'll get the cat out here and he'll go hunting if he needs to be. So I feel very different. I feel like I shed so much of my cocoon over these last 5 days. Like I feel like stripped. All right. I definitely did some growing. It was some fucking painful growing, but I did it. I did not feel good about any of it at all. It was one of those things where it's like, we got to get through this. When you're with a loved one and you really do love them, and they just cling to the delusion. And there's going to get to a point where you're going to have to like confront them of, you got to make a choice. Your delusion, or I got to leave because I can't play in that delusion with you. And this is where it gets hard because our society is all about the narcissism handbook of life, which is, oh, just throw people away and upgrade, like your underwear. People are not underwear. And every time somebody advised me, all I heard was narcissist advice on what I should do. And that really made the situation that much harder. So, and that's really it. That is it exactly. That is it exactly. That is it exactly. That is it exactly. God, it just the whole thing is so clear now. You have to first break the delusion. You have to first break the delusion that they've built up, that they're trapped in. It's like the person is standing in the middle and they've put themselves into a delusion, and you're on the outside of the delusion and you're just trying to get to them, but you got to penetrate their delusion. And the only way to penetrate someone's delusion is truth. But you can't be in the delusion until you can't speak the truth when you're inside the delusion. You've got to be on the outside of the delusion. This is it exactly, people. So if you're dealing with somebody who's struggling with narcissism, which is just control addiction, or borderline personality disorder, which is control addiction, or an addiction, which is control addiction. All addictions are just control addictions. How they manifest is not fucking relevant. You just are dealing with a control addiction. That in order to get to them, you've got to break the fucking delusion. And truth is the only thing that's going to do that. So they are going to try and keep truth away from you so you can't break their delusion, because as soon as you speak the truth, the delusion's gone. The emperor is naked. The emperor is naked. And that's it right there. So they're going to use every defense to hoodwink you, because it's not about you. Your fucking abuse was never about you. Get over yourself. Sorry, not sorry. You need to wake the fuck up. Your abuse was never about you. It was all about them. You are making it about you. That's why you can't get over it. It's because you've turned somebody else's delusion into your problem because you have a problem. Then that's really what it is. That is exactly what it is. They abused you because they have the problem, not you. You threatened their delusion. That's why they abused you, because you threatened their delusion. This was about their relationship with their delusion, and you fucked with that. Now, maybe you just were present. Maybe you just looked a certain way. It doesn't matter. It's not about you. That's why you're the victim, because it's not about you. But victims love to be victimized. Oh, it's all about me. They did this. No, they fucking didn't. They were preserving their delusion that you threatened. That's all. That is all that happened. Was it unfortunate? Yes. Does it suck? Yes. Did you just happen to be at the wrong place at the wrong time? Yes. Did the people who were supposed to take care of you traumatize you? Yeah. And it sucks. You're not going to get empathy from me on this. I've had it worse than you. Trust me. So I'm looking at this, and I'm looking at the way we all handle it. And here's the real thing. When I finally told myself this conversation, that's when it broke. But this is the conversation no one wants to have because, oh, you got to preserve the delusion. What the fuck are you doing? The delusion's the problem. And this is really what it comes down to, is there's you and the delusion. And you have a relationship with the delusion because the delusion is your self-preservation monster. And if you take down the delusion, you don't have a safety net anymore. That's really what you're not dealing with. So all this eggshell walking is actually padding your delusion. Thanks, psychologists. All of the tiptoeing and coddling is padding the delusion. You got to shatter that fucking thing. And I'm going to tell you right now, the people who kill themselves are not the ones who break the delusion. They're the ones who actually wake the fuck up and go off and take care of themselves. No, the suicide people are the ones who are so fucking trapped in the delusion that they can't breathe anymore. So they kill themselves because they can't break the delusion. So when you break the delusion, that's when healing starts. That's when healing starts. You got to break the delusion. There it is. I've been looking for this. That's why I'm walking around with a hammer going, I'm going to break the fucking delusion of this place. And people are like, oh no, that's when people kill themselves. No, they don't. I know when they kill themselves. Been there, done that. Well, tried many times. That's not where suicide takes place, dumbasses. Suicide takes place in the delusion when you can't stand it anymore. And you know you're in a delusion, but you just can't find the truth. And you've given up because you are that fucking tired of trying to find the truth in a fucking suffocating delusion. The mentally ill abusers is the one in the delusion. The victims are the one going, oh, you're a delusion. It's all about me, you self-centered asshole. No, it's not. That's your delusion. This is all the shit I heard in my head when I finally got out that no one is telling you. Does it hurt? No. Logical fallacy is what hurts you. If it hurts you, it is because truth is showing you where all your logical fallacy is. It's all about you, inside of you, in your relationship to the delusion and the truth. The question is, do you have more truth in you than delusion? Most people do. Most people have more delusion than truth, and that's why they're in pain. So the more you cleanse the delusion, the more you have truth, the more you go, oh, there's the truth. I'm good now. It's just you separating yourself from the truth. So when you're dealing with someone when you're working with somebody who is a narcissist or borderline or addiction, what you are really dealing with is their relationship with their delusion, and you got to break their fucking delusion. And to do that, you tell them the truth, which is why intervention does work. But you got to tell them the right truth. You've got to tell them the truth. You've got to put them in such a position where they have to look at the mirror of reality. That's really what you're up against. But people don't know this. They do not understand it. That explains everything. But you got to remove yourself completely outside of it in order to see it. And then you can, oh, that's what I'm dealing with. And then you can speak the truth to them. And it's not an ultimatum. Good God, the concept of ultimatum is the most toxic I've ever seen in all mental health. And that's just it. That is it right there. Tell me what I'm doing for you. This is where I'm at. This is what I'm offering. And this is my purpose here. Now, if you don't accept that purpose, then please let me know. And the only fucking thing that's going to endure that together with someone is love. That's it. Bottom line. Love is the only fucking thing that's going to get you through it. So the question is, do you love the person? And if not, well, what the fuck are you doing with them? So you shouldn't leave somebody because they're toxic. You shouldn't leave somebody because they're mentally ill. You should leave someone if you don't love them, because you're just breaking their heart and wasting their fucking time. And that's really what it comes down to. If you don't love someone, get the fuck out of their life. Don't fuck around with them. And that's where a lot of people mistake emotional prosthetic with love. But you have to know what love actually is. Oh, so love is nourishing and growth. That's all it is. Love is literally the nourishment and growth of another. That's it. Your mother loves you, therefore she nourishes and grows you. Your family loves you, so they nourish you and grow you. Your partner nourishes and grows. So nourishment and growth is love. The feeling of being in love is the feeling of growing, which is when you're in love, you want to take it to the next level. What you're really doing is growing, going forward with that person. It's the forward movement, which is growth, which is nourishment, which is love. But love comes from the nourishment of something else. That's mental nourishment. And this is what a lot of people don't get. So they end up with mental diabetes. And an addiction is when you have an addiction to white bread while you have diabetes. So you're gorging yourself and indulging on this massive feast of garbage without any nutrients, empty carbs. And you're not getting any nourishment from the stuff that you're gorging yourself on. That's addiction, because you're not getting actual nourishment, because you are malnourished, because you have mental diabetes. And instead of getting your insulin, you're fucking around with food that isn't actually nourishment. You're eating junk food instead. So you consume junk food without any nourishment, and it just rots you away from the inside out. That's mental illness. You have mental diabetes. So in order to fix all of that, you need to actually be with mental nourishment, which is why I call a lot of my stuff nutritional knowledge. Mental nourishment is logic, which is love. But you're not going to know that until you get to like the 40th level of consciousness in the abstract. So it's going to take about 30 levels of you growing before you're going to understand that. So I'm not going to break it down for you here. The science is on my website if you want it. But when you get here, you realize, oh, logic and love are the same thing. Logic is the actual process and formula of integration, of growth and creation. And it is the nourishment that allows us and causes us to grow. And that feeling of logical growth and logical integration is love. But how many of you are studying logic? You're not. To study logic, you require conversation with actual scientific definition based off of things, because your brain eats words for food. Your brain eats words for food. But if you have a shit diet of chat rooms and forums and misinformation, you're going to be malnourished, which is why most of you are malnourished. You are what you eat. So I feel good. I feel really good about all of that. I talk to people all day when I'm not in my cave. And I get a lot of people who come to me, and I'm all done arguing. I have no interest in arguing anymore. I have no interest in resistance. And I think this is my biggest problem, is I am all fucking sick and tired of resistance. I am boycotting resistance. And the moment I get resistance, the moment I'm like, nope, I'm done. I'm just done with resistance. I don't live without any resistance. 10th ethic, emotional fluidity. And I have surrendered my ego to learning. So when I see something that logically doesn't make sense, I put my ass to work and I go to work and I learn, which is why I've been in the cave for 5 days, is because I had some stuff to learn. The cave is where I go when I need to learn. So I've been in the cave learning for 5 days. When you have a problem, you can either solve it or you need to get your fucking ass into logic and learn. But instead of fixing the problem, we complain, we whine, we bitch, and no one fucking learns. So I'm at a point where I've lost all patience and tolerance for people like that. And I have said it so many times, just logic. And people argue. Well, what about this? And then people do other shit, but they're not studying logic. And if you call up a teacher or you call up somebody to ask for help, you failed the fucking lesson, because the lesson is do logic. Logic or teacher. But the problem is the teacher's going to spoon feed you, not give you logic unless they're a logic teacher. And then you're going to remain dependent upon them for the rest of your life. Or you could just learn logic. So the minute you ask a teacher for help, you have failed the lesson, which is learn logic. And I'm at a point where I'm open to discussion and dialogue, but there's way too much resistance. There's way too much not studying of logic. And I don't spoon feed shit to people. I'm just so fucking sick of spoon feeding information and answers to people. I'm done with it. That's enabling, and it's just dirty to me. And instead of just doing the fucking work, they just want me to enable them. And I'm like, yeah, I'm not interested. So I'm sitting here now taking a massive step back from the healing garden. And here's the thing, is all this stuff is laid out in pure logical code on my website. It's free. Go fucking help yourself. You don't need me. Which is why I don't do, which is why my one-on-one consultations are so fucking expensive. It's like because like you're wanting hand holding. I have no tolerance for that shit. So, and here's the thing is it's all the same fucking subconscious mind formula. You just haven't bothered to get off your ass and read the goddamn material. So I'm sitting here going, why, like, I'm so far removed from the process that I'm not needed. And I'm glad. Well, I shouldn't be part of the process. So this is all the stuff that I also had to work out in my cave for the last 5 days, is where I'm going to put myself. Because a teacher, no, that's enabling. You need to go study logic. So I'm sitting here going, okay, so what am I going to be doing? And people are like, oh, you're a coach. No, I'm not an enabler. Well, why the fuck do you need a coach? And what I do have are people I'm training. But my people who are training are so self-sufficient that they're doing the fucking work. And then when they're ready to sit down and have a dialogue discussion with me, oh, that's when we sit down and we just rip apart into it. But again, now we're looking at dialogue, which is not the same thing as a resistant to, it's just, I have no tolerance for resistance. So I think that's really it. Is I will not work with anybody unless they are ready to 100% surrender themselves to the lesson. And that's one of the problems that I was having is I had a lot of people who just wanted to get into an argument with me. So a lot of people weaponize logic. This is what you don't know. A lot of people weaponize logic. And once they find out, and those people will hunt for logical people to get into fights with them. So I have been the target. We need to talk about it. I have been the target for the majority of my life of logical fighters. And I cannot explain to you the amount of fucking abuse, the logic abuse I have endured from assholes. My brother did this to me. My best friend did it to me for 17 fucking years. And I realized that these assholes, instead of just dealing with their own fucking garbage, instead they hunt down people like me and they beat and batter them with logic that's not even correct logic. And they just constantly argue with me for no other reason than to be right, to fluff their own fuck ego. Because unless they've pissed off somebody, they don't feel comfortable. And now I'm their emotional prosthetic. So I've attracted a lot of people who are highly logical. I couldn't say they're logical. They just associate logic with power. And because of where I'm at, they view me as a trophy of, oh, if I can best her in logic, I must be really good. And I'm all done with that. So I'm recovering from logic abuse. And I'm recovering from just resistance. And I'm like, no, I'm all done. I'm not here to, no, I'm all done. And I also broke out of that fucking horror show of a shelved room that I've basically, my partner put me in a logical stalemate for 2 years to prevent me so I couldn't see the delusion that he had. That's what he did. He out-logicized me to put me in a logical stalemate for 2 years where I couldn't figure out the situation. And then as I started to unravel it, he shut down. Self-preservation. And we finally cleared the air. I finally got it all out and I went, aha! So I'm out of that fucking logical stalemate. I finally sharpened my logical skills beyond the point of being able to see what the bullshit was. And then I'm like, and here's where it comes right down to it. So I feel fantastic. See, I have a thing where I can feel. We all can do this. We all can feel when logic hurts. We all can feel when there's lie. We can feel lie. The sooner you figure this out, the happier you're going to be. You can feel lie. It's called logical fallacy, which is cognitive dissonance. Cognitive dissonance is a really pretty psychology word for lie. That's really what it is. Cognitive dissonance is a lie. And you have severe emotional pain when you feel fallacy, when you feel logical fallacy, which is lying, which is why the Bible says thou shalt not lie, dumbasses. But hey, you can congratulate your gorgeous educational program for that, genius. So I am thinking about calling my podcast the Bitter Bitch because yeah. Yeah, I have no tolerance for stupid, and there's a lot of it out there. So, and that's it, really. I am what I am in a world of fucking stupid. So, yeah, I'm really fucking pissed off. You have no fucking idea what it's like having my fucking brain in this kind of a world. You have no fucking idea. So, don't fucking judge me. That's right. When you have my fucking brain in a goddamn fishbowl of idiocy and stupid, oh, you'd be pissed too. You'd be fucking pissed. So yeah, that was another thing I worked out in the cave was my relationship with how bitter and just miserable I am. I wouldn't say I'm miserable, just really fucking bitter because there's a whole lot of stupid out there. And that's really it is I'm done placating the stupid. See, there's really stupid and I don't talk to them. And then there's like another level of stupid. And I'm going, okay, so you're trying, but you're failing because of the educational system. And then there's this area where they have figured it out, but they're still clinging to this here. And these are the people where I'll start talking to them. And then there's these people who have completely surrendered themselves to the lesson. And I'm like, all right, now I'll talk to you. You guys are actually the smart ones. So I'll talk to these people. But then I get these people who leak in and I'm like, what the fuck? What the fuck? You have one job, study fucking logic. You don't know the answer? Go study logic. You don't know the answer? Go study logic. And then you've got the people who are here. And I'm like, so I realized I had to vet my people a lot better. And so I worked that out. And then I realized I learned a lot. Good fucking God, I learned a lot. At one point, I was in the farthest future and at the beginning, while also at the nearest future and the present, all at the same time. I got sick. Dimension sickness is a real thing. I got really fucking sick. I was like, oh, I'm going to throw up because I was like, my mind was literally broken into fun leftovers from having altars. My mind was literally broken into fragments so I could see all pieces of it at the same time. And then I analyzed it and then I integrated and I'm like, all right, so what I do is I disintegrate. I disintegrate my mind on purpose and I toss a piece over there and I toss a piece over there and I toss a piece over there. And I dimension walk, putting each one of the pieces into each different parts of it. And I can see it at the same time. And then I integrate it. And when I integrate it, I get all of the same knowledge together. That's how it works with multiple personalities. Now, I don't know if people can actually do this or if this is just something multiples can do. That's a study I need to do. It's whether or not everybody can do this. But I also maintain my full consciousness while I'm doing it. My whole consciousness. Like I only have one consciousness now, which is why it's not multiple personality. It's multiple consciousness disorder. And I don't have multiple consciousnesses anymore. I have one consciousness. So I'm sitting here going, okay, so I went so far deep into the abstract yesterday that I hated it. That I literally got to the end of it and I just went, I don't want to be here anymore. You lose relativity when you go that far. That's it right there. You lose relativity when you go deep. But that's not true. There's a piece of that there that's missing. I think it's more like you have to have a piece of relativity that is equal to the vastness of the depths in which you go. So that if you're going to go that far deep, you have to have the anchor that matches it to keep it supported. And I'm not there yet. So I was definitely far beyond my growth where I should have been. And I lost relativity. And then I'm like, okay, I'm going to go back. And I did. And then I just started to lose what is the purpose of any of this? Oh, I was having an existential crisis. That's the other thing. I was also having an existential crisis for the last 5 days. And I'm like, interesting. I did not know you could have 2 of these in a lifetime. Yes, you can. And I was having a really big one. Now you're going to have little, I hate to use the word crisis. And actually, yeah, it did turn into a crisis. So you're going to have existential epiphanies throughout your life. That's different. No, you get one fucking big existential crisis where you are afraid to trust molecules. When you reach the point where you are afraid to trust molecules, you're having an existential crisis. Yeah, that's where I was. I was at the point this last 5 days where I was terrified of trusting molecules. It's like, I don't want to trust molecules. Why should I trust molecules? They're just a figment of my imagination. And they are. And, or are they? See? But that one I set aside. No, I was looking at the other existential crisis of purpose. What is this for? What is this really for? And it is the foundational, basically what it is, and I'll tell you what it is. You are fucking around with your very first logical code. That's what you're doing. You are just fucking around with your very first logical code. Your very first logical code is the one that everything in your entire life is found. It is the foundation. It is the keystone. It is the fountainhead. And when you fuck around with the fountainhead, your whole world comes crashing down and you are nothing. That is an existential crisis. So I was literally like knitting out the core fountainhead of my entire logical comprehension. Not recommended. It's love, by the way. Every one of us has a foundation of love, and you need to define it very solidly because that's going to build up everything from that point on. Love is the very first logical code. And if you're fucked up and you don't know what love is, well, that's why you're fucked up. It's because you haven't defined your first logical code, which is, what is love? What is love? Well, like I said, get your ass over to logic. So what is love is why you're all fucked up, because you don't have the very first logical code. So I figured out the logical code and I put it all in place. But then I had to go back and I had to like completely pull it out and like, is this the right one? Or is this the right one? If this is not the right one, then what does this mean? And suddenly the entire meaning of life does not exist without love. And that's the truth. That's the shit you learn in the abstract, is without love, you don't have a meaning to life. So love is the meaning to life. Christ tried to tell you, but you guys don't listen. So love is the meaning of life. Yeah, love is the meaning of life. That's it. That's where truth begins. That's where everything begins. Literally, it's the nourishing of growth. And that's really what happened, is I discovered what love actually is, that it's the nourishment of growth. And I went, oh, this is love. And that's what got me into the cave. And I went, oh, well, this is going to completely change everything now. So then I stepped into the cave to reanalyze and break it all down. So once I sort all of this out, I definitely see me going with my storefront, where it's like, I'm still trying to figure this out. I love the idea of the gateway of the abstract. The gate. I'll just call it the gate. Yeah, I'm going to play around with words and figure out some really badass fucking marketing to put all this together, because that's really what I need to do. And it's glad to know that I've got this whole thing like over. Yeah, I feel better. All right. Yeah. So thank you. May the kindest of words always find you.